with Mr. Spanish David.
No.
This is yours, yes? Okay, let me see. What did I tell you otherwise? Actually, let's not do that. Okay, so do you remember what I told you about this piece already? Yes or no? Let's see. High school. So did you have any references? Do you know if you had? No? Yes. Wait.
Yeah, I passed you the other day the entire scene in pure reference. I don't know
Okay.
if you downloaded.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So, what I tried explaining to you during the week, to kind of, why not? Because if you're working in the week, it's good to get some feedback so you can use your time efficiently. So one of the things I wanted to point out is there's quite a bright light coming in, right? In your references, there's bright light here, there's bright light here. It bounces a lot. If you look at your piece, which is not here. Let me just close this. I don't think I need that one up. Okay, so let's pick this one. So there's two things I notice here. This is what I think. In this debris light, and I'm gonna ignore some of your references, even though I'm sure the references actually are correct in that sense. Is this would never be this bright if the light is this bright. Over here, right? As I said before, to some of you anyway, go out, bring a flashlight, bring a bright flashlight. You can bring this. This is 10,000 lumens on my face, which I use to program my brain in the morning, because it's dark in the morning to wake up and stuff like that. So when you have this light, if I went out earlier today when it was this kind of brightness in the morning, that light would not be on. I wouldn't see that other light source because the daylight is quite bright. So for the red circle, what I would advise is to update the material or dim it down. You can't dim it down too much because then it becomes black unless you want to change the material. So you need to dim it down to like 0.01 or something like that to kind of have the shape of it, but it's off. So I would like you to dim down the interior light if you are keeping the daytime you have. Cool. And for the red circle, what I wanted to point out here is it's kind of lacking more bounce light. Now you're still learning, right? You all are doing your way and you have your techniques, and some of you are more experienced than others. I do notice that, and I am aware of it. But we do want to make sure that you're comfortable pushing the bounce a little bit more to make sure that you get this kind of effect that you have on the walls here. But the issue right now is you have a little bit, but then it goes quite dark on the end here, right? So for green circle, think about indirect light. If you remember, I showed you references and I explained to you how real life works, and you want to use your references and copy it, which you are doing, which is fine, but the comments I'm giving you, if you want to take it a step further and kind of make your own creative decision to make it match how it actually would be. Okay, so you want to make it bounce more, and again, you want to make sure for this that we avoid complete darkness for this type of lighting. This is hard to do. I am quite aware that all of my notes right now is not that easy to get into it, but I can tell by the shadows that either you have some issues with your light map or you did a low resolution render, which is also a part of the challenge. Sometimes you can just go medium high when you do your renders, and it will actually give you a lot of the stuff I'm saying. It will bounce a little bit, it will clean up your image a little bit as well, so you can do that as well if you wanted to. Clean up the darkness. My friend is playing another game. Let's close that down. Close that down. I always forget this. Close that one. That's fine. Cool. Clean up the darkness. by adding bounce or more indirect light. Now, keep in mind, when I say add more indirect light, there's many ways of doing it. Maybe you know some of them already, maybe you don't know. I'm not gonna tell you right now, because I do want you to feel the frustration. I do want you to try and figure it out first. Otherwise, obviously, you're gonna learn it on the other videos that you get access to any minute. But what happens when you have too much indirect light? You get too much brightness, right? So you want to make sure you keep a balance, and that's where tone mapping and other stuff comes into the picture afterwards. Same thing here. I don't know if it's low quality or what's going on here, but this is a no.
Yeah, I think in this
Looks
in
like
this
noise.
scene, in this scene, I think all the meshes have a few problems. I don't know why, because I export a few meshes to 3D Max, and I looking for the in the light map UVs. So I think they have a few problems in the light map UV. All right, I don't have the time to export all the meshes. Okay, and come back cleaning the light map UV, but it was for like a first task, so I say like, okay, don't worry. I know that I have a few problems with the line maps, so I am noticed right now, so don't worry for that. Okay.
I did notice something as well. I did like 5 minutes before you guys came online, because I wanted to get familiar with the scene and kind of explain the brightness you want, the fog you want, the bounce light you need, and to get rid of all this darkness that you have. Don't like this, obviously. I wouldn't keep this in a normal situation, but I did something very quickly, and because I did it quickly, I cheated, obviously. So in this case, I did just a non-shadow point light here to get the boost I wanted. Did the same here to get the boost I wanted. I use area light, which is why you get this here. You don't have this either. By the window, there's nothing. See that? It's just dark. And if you look at your references again, it does have all of this here. You can see it here, right there, and you can also see it here. This has a bit different bounce to it. Obviously, you have to keep in mind that your references are quite different. One seems like to be a game, one seems to be like a painted concept art, and one seems to be like from a movie or something. So they're gonna look different, and they're gonna be very heavily tone map. You can see this reference has ambient occlusion, so it's obviously probably not a movie actually. Same here. For the notice, just so you guys know, ambient occlusion doesn't actually exist in real life. It's something we've gotten used to because of games and such. It doesn't actually happen in real life. If you look around your room right now, I dare you, just tell me you see this darkness crease in your room. It's not gonna happen. It happens here. When you go outside and you do this, that's when ambient occlusion happens. That's when two surfaces meet each other and light kind of get into it. That happens in very rare occasions. So if you want to get comfortable not using ambient occlusion, I'm not against it. Like, if people don't have it, I don't have a problem if people skip that process. To be fair, I do use it sometimes, but I think it's good to get practice to not depend on it. So, yellow circle. Maybe add some light or bounce or something from the window. I obviously wanted to point out this isn't too bad. This is, except I don't know what's going on here, but this is not good.
Yeah, no, there was material of the light, so I don't touch any material.
I call it the god light from now on. It's like a holy light. Oh, this is pretty good. This is what I want you to do in the room as well. Get this nice light down, get this nice bounce. You know, of course, it's very dark here. That's something you want to solve around this area as well. You know, get rid of some of the black. Remember, I'm saying when I say dark, I really mean blackness, right? I'm not telling you to get rid of shadows. I'm telling you to think about how to deal with your complete blackness. And I know it's complete black. because I checked before I tell you guys stuff, just to be on the safe side. I don't think this is bad, but again, you know, you can see it's pretty. There's some gradients, and then it drops off very quickly. You have this light on top that's again with your indirect light settings, and also light bleeding that happens in this scene. Your fog, you want to think about the fog direction. You can see, you know, there's some type of fog going on, but you want to think about that. This one, again, you might want to keep it off instead, or maybe work on at least this area at the very least, because it's kind of obvious. It's just stopping, and light doesn't just stop, right? If you remember the first videos, you know, it's inverse square law. It fades off, and this one has a cutoff. Make sense? Maybe work on the intensity a little bit. It does look like super bright for this type of light. Play with intensity. Do a circle. Play with intensity. And in this case, because it's on, which is kind of obvious, but white arrow, turn on or adjust. What do you think I'm gonna say? Emissive, right? Cool. That's the basic for this. Make sense? Everything clear?
Yeah.
Because I remember I can't see you guys. I have one screen, so you gotta talk. Thomas, I think I already gave you a lot of feedback. I like this piece. I think it's pretty cool. It's not bad at all, actually. It's probably my favorite image of all of these, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I think there's a lot you can do here in the other pieces. In your case, I would want to boost. I would want you to boost it more, really like make it crisp and bright, to kind of enhance it, because it's a good shot. But you want to get into the darkness a little bit, and to do that you need to brighten up here so it kind of bounces in a little bit. I like this detail on the left side with the light. Maybe even play with it a little bit, maybe push it not too much so that it competes with the light here, but just see if you can get like some kind of interesting rim light on this fence. Might be too much actually, but you know, play with it, see where it takes you. Here I would actually push a little bit more to dim down the overall brightness again, and kind of get the black, you know, there's still a lot of black, so this is yours, and you want to get that crisp look out of your image as well. Not sure I'm too keen on this light just magically stopping here. I think maybe extend it, dim it down if you have to. I would like you to play with it a little bit more. I think I didn't tell you that on the text feedback, so that's my updated feedback. Here as well, I would boost it a little bit more to get into the darkness a little bit. Of course, you want to make sure you don't get too flat in the process, because that's what we all were kind of mastering right now. Is what I see the biggest thing I really want you guys to work on is balancing the brightest spot, the darkest spot, and not lose the flatness, right? I don't want you guys to lose the tone, because if you do too much of one, it gets flat either way, right? Either it gets too flat because it's too dark, or it gets too flat because it's too bright, right? So we want to practice that. We want to get that nice balance here as well, which is why I said maybe play with this one, because if you're gonna have this camera angle, it would be interesting to see the orange light kind of hitting around. So maybe in this case, you know, you would maybe have it hit here a little bit to a certain degree. So I don't know, let's do soft light, you know, just get it to light up here a little bit, you know, play around with this corner as well to get that contrast, because now even though it's starting to look good as a monochrome, you feel comfortable, you know, pushing that yellow light a little bit to create that break in the image a little bit. But it's also, even though it's image, you also want to make sure it's identifiable, that this camera angle is connected to this camera angle, right? You want to connect
Right.
the dots, so if someone doesn't watch your video or whatever, they can connect the story. I'm gonna hold back on giving you feedback on this one because there's a lot of feedback here. The minute you add characters, the type of feedback and the type of challenges, it differs a little bit. So I don't want to
Yeah.
overwhelm you, but so I'm gonna leave it. But I do like the rim light you have going on here. I think that's pretty good, and over here, right? So I'm gonna leave it on what I do like on this image. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Back to this one, what I was talking about was a little bit of brightness, pushing it a little bit is kind of what I'm hoping to see, so it feels a bit more like it's actually daylight kind of room. Earlier today there was bright daylight in my room, but my curtains were closed like now, and the light was just hitting the tip of the windows frame, right? It goes out like this, so the window is like here, and then there's a here, and then the wall goes there. So there's a certain shelf, you could call it, I guess, window frame shelf, where you can see, maybe you don't see it here, but I have a clock and pictures basically by the window. So that's where the light was hitting, and it's still hitting. Let me see. And it has a nice mood, for sure, so you should keep to it, you should follow your references, but you can even see the reference itself. It's pretty well lit, has some ambient occlusion in the corner, fair enough, no problem. Same here, it's quite well lit, it's not very dark. These are pretty accurate, it is quite bright, so you can try and brighten yours as well. That should also increase the amount of bounce you get. Same here as well. So the reason it's diffuse, can anyone guess why it's not as bright as it would be? Anyone want to guess?
If I had to guess, it's because of bouncing off of dark wood.
That's one of the reasons, yes. What's the second reason? Take your time. It's hard to spot on most of the images. Okay, I'll put it here because this one is obvious. Well, depending on your eyes, obviously. So it's pretty bright in my room. I have my curtains over, and it's brighter than. It's more or less the same brightness as this room, but maybe a little more brighter in general because everything is white. So material is correct. Good one. But what's the second thing you don't see in my background happening? Which is it's related to this thing here, and it's related to this thing here. You guys are thinking hard, huh? So what happens when a light goes through different substance and materials in the air, right?
It's refracting.
It's refracting. So what happens if there are certain things that happens if it's raining, and there's certain thing that happens when you have a lot of dust, right? You can see the God rays. So when there's a lot of dust, what it does, it actually flattens the image, and you can see it and really does it very well, which is why I advise when people use height fog and stuff like that in Unreal, it's gonna flatten your image, because what happens with all the fog, it's gonna bounce around, and it should actually brighten your image a lot more. It shouldn't darken your image, and that's why you see in concept art. And then let's see if I can find a good concept artist. Foggy mountains. I don't know what I'm searching, but we'll find out. So, a lot of concept art, well, not a lot of them, some of them. Let's see if we can find a good example. Let's do foggy cave. I think it's better actually. Wow, not a lot of people do foggy cave. One of you guys should do that, because when someone searches foggy cave, your stuff's gonna pop up. This is actually some of the stuff I do when I'm deciding pieces. If I want to market myself, I search stuff and I go, okay, there's not a lot of stuff with this keyword, I'm gonna go make one. Just a tip for you guys as well. This one is pretty good. this wouldn't be as bright, and I say this would have been darker if it wasn't for the fog. There used to be a very good piece here that was really good, that would explain it even more. It's from actually one of the professional artists. It was I think it was actually Pixar or something. Fog.
Are you just referring to the volumetric fog in Unreal?
So the volumetric fog in real, but also in real life, when you have lighting with volumetric fog, it's gonna brighten up a lot. So if you turn off the volumetric fog in Unreal or in real life, this wouldn't be as bright as in Maria's piece. So she obviously knows it because she's pretty good at these things as well. So that's what I'm referring to here. The light's bouncing around, and it's actually making it a lot brighter, but the shadows obviously wouldn't be as sharp all the time either. So that's a different topic for these references. They would be more like this. So when you do your stuff here, there you go. On. Let's go back. Just to nail it down a bit. Because here your reference has fog pieces on it, right? These are all foggy. You can see outside there's a lot of fog. You can see a bit here. Here is very clear, and here is also pretty clear. So these dust particles also helps with brightening the room. So when you turn it on in Unreal, you can use it to brighten your scene, but you want to control it a bit so it doesn't get too much, right? So you have this here. You go into exponential fog. You don't want to go crazy. That's a bit too much. And also, if you don't go into world settings and go down on this number here, it's called volumetric light detail. Bonus knowledge ahead of time, you will learn this. If this doesn't go down enough, this quality is gonna look poor. So if this volumetric fog is looking bad in your render, it basically means you wanna increase this setting down, not up, but down in number, which also increases your rendering time a lot. So you can see that if I turn this off, it loses a lot of the fill light. Do you see that? It's very subtle, but let's see if you guys can spot it. Let's see, test your eyes. Let's test your eyes. Do you see that when it goes on and off, the intensity and the brightness changes? It's more obvious if I do this, because then there's a lot of fog coming in. Look at that. And I want you to look up here on the right side. Do you see it changes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It makes everything that's dark brighter, but that's the fog that does it. Which two reasons, because that's how fog works. It bounces the lights, you know. It's the same with rain. It refracts around, you know. You see the reflection. You see some more detail that you wouldn't otherwise. It's the different reason for fog. It bounces into the fog particles, boom, 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 and it goes much farther than it would otherwise. But it also flattens the image, so you can see it fixes some of the darkness even more, but it also gives the same value, and that's what you want to be careful with when you're doing these kind of pieces. You want to make sure it doesn't overtake the whole scene, because now it doesn't overtake the whole scene too much. It doesn't make it as flat because I'm concentrating the light. So these are the things you want to pay attention to in your particular piece as well when it comes to this. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, as long as it makes sense to you, because right now this is specifically for you. Anyone else? Did it not make sense to anyone else? If so, you can say so, and I will make a specific video for you, for the rest of you. So, red circle. You want to say something?
Yeah, I do have a question about the volumetric. So for the last example, was obviously with the exterior lighting coming in. Will it work the same with interior lighting, since this is a fully interior piece?
It's different, obviously, with exterior and interior, but the problem with the engine fog is, at the moment, they go inside and outside, which is one of the weaknesses with the fog in Unreal and Unity, for that matter. It goes into interior when you don't want it to go into interior. So to counter that, there's no easy way. You actually need to go into Blueprint. You need to make some code stuff to actually make a box and then say reduce it, which obviously we might do in the future, but at the moment probably not.
Right.
So it's the same challenge, which is why you want to play with the lights. But one of the key differences I've done I've turned off volumetric setting on other lights, right?
Mhm.
I don't have it on. I have it on, again, bonus stuff. Again, you will learn all of this stuff over during the time, but since you guys are interested, I'll throw in bonuses early on. So if you want to improve stuff a bit earlier than intended, that's fine by me. I use this technique if I want to fake fog specifically in different areas of the scene. So I will turn off everything, right? And I will like keep this one maybe not this much, maybe like 5, and I would probably, obviously this would always be on because it's the direction light, otherwise it doesn't make sense, but I would play around and I would add like fog specifically where I wanted it to pretend to get some more control over the fogs basically, and I would adjust it and kind of make sure it works the way I want it to be. Obviously you don't need to have it all too bright, but you need to have certain brightness to get that fog look, right? So I want to have an image, and if I have like a huge image and it's like a huge, supposed to be field hued, I would just push the fog all the way back so I get to see this fog, and it wouldn't be as bright as now obviously because it's in the background. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you understand the relationship between your volumetric fog, which is the exponential height fog you're using at the moment, and the point lights and the volumetric scattering intensity and the intensity of the light. So once you figure that out, you can then get some more control over your scene. All right? Good? Cool. It takes a time. I mean, most people take a lot of time even using volumetric correctly, but it's not the best, to be fair. It takes a lot to get a good fog stuff in Unreal. It takes a lot of time. Okay, I don't think you need too many notes because I gave you quite a few in the text format as well. So I'll keep this one as the main format because I think that's the best piece. Ellen.
Amit, I managed to get a bake on production level.
Cool. Alright, so what should we look at here? It's a couple of things. I think you should follow the same advice. Intensity. Right? Red circle. Increase intensity. This will also increase bounce a bit. Okay. The same would happen here, because the light's coming in here. I think that's actually the first thing I want you to do is get the intensity correctly, because right now what's happening is it's becoming flat again, because you're playing it safe with the intensity, which is fine. I used to do it a lot too, and sometimes I even do it today where I'm kind of playing it safe. So let's just get it in over this one, I guess. I'm sorry. Just put it here quickly. And put it like somewhere here. Turn this off, and actually I'll just do this. You can see it doesn't work because you have a different intensity. So for yours, let's say we play with the curve a bit. You want that kind of bright light coming in, because you want to have the contrast that you're missing. You can see that the minute you get that in, it brightens the room a little bit. If I take this away and I go into what we call the levels, which is you can see you have a lot of dark, and generally you want more you want the curve going a bit more further here. It's a lot going on the left side here, but you want more of this information to be spread down like this, evenly down. Okay, so for that you need to have more intensity as well to get that spread down and to spread the light a little bit. I think that's my main concern for this one, is you need to be comfortable with this daylight that you're doing. But I know it's a broken scene, which is why we're using it. But remember, directional light, which is what you're using, is your key light, and it's your brightest source of light. Your shadow is your skylight. So what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that I hear some background noises. Let me just open. I don't think we're gonna need this one anytime soon, so I'll just close this one. Go into the library, go in here. Open that one quickly. Obviously you've seen this, but it's very important to understand the concept. The ratio between skylight and directional light. That's the only thing you need to focus on right now, is to get that the way you want. I don't care how you do it, if you slide the intensity or you use a creative way of doing it, I don't care. You can use any approach you choose that you're comfortable with, really, as long as you understand the relationship between these things. Let's see, I think it's this one. So you want certain brightness to come in, right? And what you want to make sure that you understand is the directional light. Don't look at the numbers. This is physically correct, so I don't expect you to have the same numbers or the same settings. It's the visuals I want you to pay attention to, which is the brightness and the darkness is quite balanced in a sense. But what you want to work on is your skylight too, is to remember that your skylight, and that goes for all of you, is your shadow, right? So this is the shadow I'm controlling. Really remember, think of it as skylight is how I adjust the shadow. So if I tell you the shadows are the problem, not the intensity of the light. So if this was what you had and this is what you sent me, and I said maybe we should make the shadows a bit brighter. Obviously if you adjust the skylight, it's gonna affect the whole scene, but in theory it's a good practice to think of it as the first thing you adjust to control your shadows. Okay, so once you master that relationship between the directional light, which is the key bright light, and the skylight, which is the fill light, and if you can make it look good with these two, you've done a good job, right? Because that's essentially what I've done. This is just skylight and a directional light basically, and then you obviously have this this fun little detail lighting just to enhance the mood. But that's what I want you to focus on. Okay, does that make sense? Skylight, you control the shadows. Daylight is the contrast, is the bright spot. Does that make sense to all of you or no?
Okay.
Does that mindset help? Does that make sense when I say it or no?
Yes.
Yes? How about the rest of you? So quiet.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
It's okay to say no. No one's gonna go, oh, stupid person says no and everyone else says yes. That doesn't matter. Is there anyone who wants to say no, or want me to use another example to explain? No? Okay. If you want to do it in private, that's okay as well, okay? So that's the mindset I want you to have. Skylight, you use it to control the shadow. Direction light is the hot spot, the light itself.
So in this case, the skylights works like a bounce. I don't know how to say. It's much more bouncing the directional lights.
So the skylight is the mindset I want you to practice for now. Is the skylight is to control the value of your shadows. So if it's too dark, too bright, I want you to first think about, is the daylight, is that the correct intensity? Yes. Okay, what can I do? First figure out the skylight. If that doesn't work, there's tons of other stuff you can do. You can increase indirect lighting intensity, or you can learn, eventually you're gonna learn these settings, which solves half of the problem. You do it across the scene. And you can also go into post-processing. You learn that as well, right? You can go into post-processing to do the same stuff. So if I turn it off, it's bright because this is physically correct, which means it's not gonna look normal without the post-processing volume, because it's in the post-process volume that I have my exposure control and curves. Again, things you will learn. A lot of stuff you're gonna get master. You guys are gonna master this pretty quickly. Like 4 to 6 weeks is what it takes for you guys to really understand this. But you can see here, it's very subtle. If you look at the cloth, see it kind of changes.
Yeah, let's look.
Let me go
Mhm.
closer. Right. So you can use these stuff as well if you wanted to control the stuff you want, right? You can see I'm doing a little bit, but me personally, and most people that I know, art directors anyway, prefers that you don't depend on post-processing to control your shadow and brightness. It's kind of last touch to save time, or you know, it doesn't ruin your image if you do it right. Because what happens if you do it too much is, and if you do it wrong, is it flattens it, but you also get this weird white banding that happens, which is actually similar to this here actually, that you had in this image here. This also happens if you mess with the post-process volume and you're touching gamma and gain and you do too much up and too much down. This is exactly also what happens, although you didn't probably do it here, but this is exactly how it looks like if you start messing with certain things too much and you play around with it too much. You know, see what happens. And that's why you don't wanna do too much of this in post-processing. That's why I'm kind of emphasizing that you guys focus on the. You can also see it here. See what happens?
Yeah.
And if you do too much, it also has a weird. You see that banding there? It's very hard to see, but it's there. You lose it. So that's why I'm kind of saying, I just want you to be comfortable making sure that you understand daylight, light, doesn't matter. You use skylight and directional light to get the balance you need.
Amit, about that scene, I just have a
Yeah.
question. In your test scene at least, do you only have directional light and skylight? You don't have any other light sources in there?
The only other light sources is this, just to enhance these on top of the emissive light. The other ones I have added is because I'm working on these tiny people, and then the composition is pretty bad, and I use this to kind of just get a fake rim light on this character. But other than that, if I take it away, the whole environment is lit just using the skylight and but yeah, I'm
Alright.
playing around to have like a certain scene. I'm still working on it, but yeah, it's starting to look pretty cool. Except these tiny people, they don't look a bit randomly placed. But yeah, you'll see this. You might see one of the videos in the future that we go through this as well, this part as well. I'll have to play around first. So cool. That's what I want you to do here. I want you to focus on this part and this part. Green circle is play with skylight to adjust the darkness up and down. So play with DL is directional light to increase contrast and bounce. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to focus on. And obviously composition. Play with your composition. Try something different shot as well if you want to. Make sense?
Yes,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yes.
He's like getting ready. Oh no. What's he gonna say?
No, it's fine.
So, David from Poland.
Yes.
So you can do the same actually that I did here. can add a point light. You control the source length, which is this yellow thing you see, so the light spreads out. That's how you control point lights in a proper way, is you use the source length and the source radius and the soft source radius to control it, so it fits the shape of your light sources, right?
Yes.
You can do the same here as well. You could add some more here, so you get that light that you're kind of missing here, right? So here and here,
Okay.
white circle. Add adjusted. Well, I want you to add adjusted point light to fill in these dark areas. Okay.
Okay.
What else? So you have yellow light on yellow material. You have to ask yourself, is that a good choice? Is that what you want, or do you want a different color? Because you remember, yellow material, orange material, yellow light, color wheel, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
go back to color wheel theory. It's also we're gonna keep nagging you all on all of these things. None of you are getting away. You're gonna master everything. Nail colors, nice.
Yes, I
Nail colors.
prefer this light, but it's my imagine how it looks. It boosted this yellows materials.
So there's nothing wrong with it. There's no wrong, there's no right. I'm just giving you a suggestion at this stage. Is because the materials are on orange and yellow range, it would be interesting to see even violet, purple or blue. Blue is very standard. I know blue works there because I've lit this here myself, but I
Mhm.
haven't tried violet. It would be cool if we tried violet. What do you think? Do you want to try violet light instead?
Yes, of course. It's no
Try
problem.
violet. Do you guys agree? Rest of you, should we try violet?
The positive colors.
Hmm.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe because it works.
Yeah, just we want to have a color palette that works with the materials as well, like, because we're doing
Mhm.
interior design indirectly. Because we want to use our, I want to use my interior design knowledge to go, okay, what color palette matches the materials in the environment? I don't think these materials are that well adjusted, because I don't see them as reflective. So this scene might actually also be pretty bad when it comes to metallic surface. I'm not entirely sure, but the red circles. Try purple or violet color palette. Okay,
Okay.
that's one comment there. It's very dark, no? Or is it just me?
Yeah, it's a little bit dark.
From the right
Uh,
side.
Unless you had like, a creative reason to do it. Again, there's no right and wrong, but we want to make sure I train your eyes, which is my primary concern, is for you guys to understand what are you looking at and what is the room of improvement. But unless you had like a monster who was hanging around, in the corner here somewhere, with red eyes, for story reasons, how big can this go? There we go. Unless there was something going on there and you had like and then you added like a rim light, something from this light, you cheated and stuff like that, that would make sense. But since we're not doing it, unless you want to do it now, ideas, very important. I would probably again use the same stuff. Do you guys notice I'm giving you quite similar feedback in the beginning here, more or less? It's the same principles, which is your eye. We're training your eye, because it doesn't matter what technical skills you have. If you don't see
Mhm.
what I see, doesn't matter. You can slide as much as you want. You don't know what to do unless I pick on it very well enough. This is super black. This I do like. This one here, it's very subtle. This can work if you do it the same here. It doesn't have to be super bright. So let's give a good critique as well. Yellow error, that works. Maybe enhance more, but push that kind of rim lighting in darkness more around your level. I'm not gonna correct my spelling. Red circle, same stuff. Fill in some fill light to enhance the room. I'm not gonna spell correct my stuff
Okay.
this time, cause this is pretty black, but it's okay. Same principles here. So I see you have some light on top as well. You have to ask yourself, is there too many lights on or too little lights on? Do you need all the lights? I do like what you're trying to do here. I think that's a good start.
Mhm.
Work on that, you know, make that the focal point. Think about a key lighting ratio as in competing light intensity, right? So what does that mean? Again, these are very bright because these are neon lights. Is there a way to make this one more brighter? Okay, so let's this is fine, this is okay, and you had, okay, let's see if you have very dark, so I don't know if it's gonna work on yours, but I
Okay.
think it could probably go brighter, but dimming these lights. Maybe think a little bit about how to make this more subtle, so this becomes the focal point, right? And the same goes for no, I closed the image, which I shouldn't have, but eventually you can go to the camera and you can also play a little bit with your camera's depth of field, right? And you can kind of start blurring out some of your image if you have to. It's kind of hard to see it, but that also helps with the way you do your storytelling. That was the wrong layer. That's why nothing is happening. Duh! I'm so stupid. Oh, there we go. So again, we will talk about these things as well, but enhancing things is for a lighting artist, especially if you're the only lighting artist, or especially you have other things you got to learn as well on your personal pieces. It's all about understanding cinematography, light, color, interior design, and you put it all together. See, I didn't do much now. I didn't change your intensity, but you can tell that it's easier to read the focal point. Here, it's you're looking probably over here. Is it just me, or do everyone else kind of catch the attention on these light sources? Let me hear it. Yes or no?
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say because they're the brightest spots in the composition.
What about the rest of you who are so quiet?
Yeah, it's the first thing that I see when I saw all the picture.
Kat, are you still here?
I am. I agree.
Cool. Now, if you want to keep the same lighting, you could, keep blurring and stuff like that. You can see even when you blur and even when you make things brighter, you reach a point where you have competing light, which means you're kind of looking in the middle. You go a bit on the left, you look in the middle, and you want to make sure that the only place you actually do look primarily is obviously where you want the person to look, and that's a question only you know, because you are the art director at the end of the day. I trust you to make that final decision and explain to me why you're looking at something or why you chose what you chose, right? That's a choice you have to make for yourself. So
Okay.
you've gotta figure it out. This won't be too much, but it's just to prove a point, right? You want to make sure that it doesn't compete a lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, good. I'm happy we agree sometimes. That's always good when people agree, right? That's a good stuff. So did I get everyone very quickly? Fine, I'll keep it. So this one is pretty fun to light. It has a backyard, it has other stuff going on. Looking at it now, you can tell that if I were to redo it, I would definitely make this more intense. It says 2 years, but it's not really 2 years. It's probably 4 or 5 years ago. I just happened to re-upload it after changing my mind and going, I kind of like the composition. You know, it has nice framing using the lift. You have leading line. There's a focal point. There's a hidden story to it. It's the same with the Joker subway. I've done it a few times, but as you know, there's a free tutorial of this one. Again, the tutorial was just 1 hour. And I wasn't actually gonna planning on. I didn't think it would take 1 hour, but it took an hour to do it. I liked the tutorial. I just click upload, and you know it was good. So this one is always fun to do. Also, I'm quite familiar with it when it comes to materials, so I can also help you on the technicals for this particular scene, because it does have a lot of challenges as well. So it's probably a good idea to explore that. This is a private scene. I do have access to. I could give it to you. Do have permission. This was the first scene I lit from my mentor, which was originally 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or something crazy, when I switched from Unity to Unreal Lighting and had to learn Unreal Lighting again. This was my first scene actually. This took me this is an old piece too. It says 2 years, but this is also 4 years ago. I haven't deleted it because again, this is the kite demo, and kite demo actually has, I think it's the kite demo with the terrain. It has a lot of cool areas hidden that most people don't know. This is not the scene I constructed. I did put in the birds and a little bit of the tree, and I put in the animals to create the story. But the environment, like the rock and the river, was already there, and I found it when I was flying around and exploring. Like, you know, excited. Oh, look, terrain. Oh, look, go down. Oh, there's an area, and I can light this. And I had immediately had a vision of, you know, animals kind of going into an oasis or escaping. You know, some that kind of stuff going on. And I've kept it because it looks, you know, I spent also under an hour doing this one. So most of my pieces are not my best pieces, but I keep them. But I haven't spent a lot of time on most of my pieces that I do keep for some reason. Because when I do stuff that I'm not planning